You know who Matthew Shepard was? Well, if not, you should. So let me remind you. He was a 21-year-old college student who in 1998 was tortured and brutally beaten just for being gay. Tied to a fence and left to die, Matthew's body was discovered 18 hours later in below freezing temperatures by a passerby who initially mistook his limp frame for a scarecrow. Matthew succumbed to his injuries 1 week later. His horrific murder would become the catalyst for rewriting the nation's hate crime laws, among other things. And now his parents, Judy and Dennis Shepard, founders of the Matthew Shepard Foundation, are commemorating the 20th anniversary of their son's death to continue their fight to, quote, erase hate. And I'm delighted that they're joining us now. It's nice to have you here, both of us with you.
Thanks very much.
There's so much for us to talk about. Let's start at the beginning. 20 years ago, which is hard. I remember covering the story. And for you, just the notion of 20 years having passed must be so difficult. But let's talk about what you've done in those 20 years. I mentioned the foundation. And tell me, Judy, let me start with you. Tell me, what was the idea behind the foundation when you started it?
Well, we received a lot of correspondence while Matt was still in the hospital and soon after he passed from parents of gay children asking us to use our voice as accepting parents, to show other parents, your kids are your kids no matter what. And we had lost our son to a horrific act of violence, but other families had the opportunity to bring their children and welcome their children back into their families. So that was really what got us started. We felt like we owed it to Matt to do that. It's sort of morphed into many other things since then, but that's what started it.
Let me talk about some of the things that you have been doing. And one of the things, and we've talked about it here on our program in the past, and that's the Laramie Project. Right? Dennis, because I know you just came from one of those events. Tell us what that is.
The Laramie Project was a play by Moises Kaufman in the Tectonic Theater. They went out to Laramie after it was all over the trials and everything and interviewed people just to get their reactions. And from that, they developed the Laramie Project, which is the second most produced play in the United States, both from high schools, colleges, adult theater groups, etc. And then they actually went back 10 years later and did the second play called Laramie Project 10 years later, when they went back to also find out if the attitudes had changed and ideas and acceptance had gotten better.
I've heard you talk about the fact that you're concerned about the current political environment and the impact it could have on what you've been doing in Matthew's memory. Why are you concerned? Well, we
were making such progress under the Obama administration, not only in legislative and legal sense, but in a moral sense. I think of it, people began to understand and accept the gay community and all minorities as understanding we're all just trying to live our lives just the same. As Dennis said, we're just the same. To feel safe and secure, loved and be loved in return, really no difference. And Obama put in many things with an executive order or some kind of a regulation to protect LGBT students and workers that now have been turned back. And I'm worried that not only are they doing it in a regulatory sense, but they're doing it in the way they talk about the gay community, and not just the gay community, but immigrants, women, people of color. It just feels like everything is topsy-turvy now. Like we've literally gone back to the 50s where there was no acceptance of anybody but white Christian men.
What do you think we need to do about that? Let me, and I should interject, because I saw a comment by somebody from the Trump administration saying if you look to then candidate Trump's comments he at one point in time said LGBTQ folks will do well under my administration, and they've said, give the administration a chance. So that's the response you've heard from them. What do you think we need to do?
That's a problem to start with.
That was Trump's promise, but it wasn't Vice President Pence's promise or Attorney General Sessions' promise or Rex Tillerson's promise or anybody in the cabinet's promise, and they have a distinct record of being anti-gay, his cabinet members and the Vice President in particular. Trump may have not had an opinion about many things. He just talked a lot, but his folks around him had opinions, and they've been giving those opinions and those appointment recommendations to him. So
this is always a difficult question, but sometimes I think it can be helpful. If you had some time to sit down with members of the administration who you feel have not been doing what they should be doing, what would you say to them?
I wouldn't talk to them because their minds are already made up. They're not going to change. That's why they're in there.
Well, when we've had experience with talking to them, Sessions and Pence when they were in Congress, and we're trying to do the hate crime legislation, they're so attached to this idea that the gay community is less than and not deserving of, that it was pointless. Now, in a larger sense, yes, they say people are equal and deserve, safety and all that, but when they try to say you can still fire them from their jobs or that gay marriage shouldn't be allowed, that's not sending a message of inclusiveness that this country really should be. And I'm not sure that we could in any way change their mind. There is a segment of society that just is not on board with that.
Well, hopefully the conversation that you're driving will continue and we'll get where we need to be.
We hope so.
I want to thank you both for spending some time with us.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Very
For
much.
good work that
Appreciate
you've been doing. You both be well.
Thanks.